Hi, welcome to Entertainment Stew. I'm here to talk about. Oh wait, it's still recording. Don't stop it. We're just gonna stop. Okay.
I
remember
this part.
Yeah.
Where
yeah.
do I look?
That one.
Look at camera 2.
Look at camera 2. Hi. Oh, he just saw it.
Oh.
All right.
Hi, welcome to Entertainment Stew. We're doing another discussion, but this topic for this particular discussion is on feminism in media. It was recently told to me that's a very broad topic, and it really is. So we're gonna like shimmer it down a bit. It's examples. It's bad representation of feminism in media. So we're gonna go through a few movies / things in entertainment. The first one we're gonna talk about is Suffragette, the Meryl Streep. Would you call it a Meryl Streep vehicle? Like it's because
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's
a
fair.
Meryl Streep movie that came out like last year, and
And this is just super on the nose, right? Here we have an example of like straight up the whole point of the movie is to represent feminism to us, is trying to sort of put across this beautiful, inspiring picture of first wave feminism. And it's just kind of a disaster, I think.
it's certainly a movie. Like I didn't know what I was going into.
We can say this about it. It was a movie.
I was kind of starstruck because when I watched it, it was like one of the premiere nights, and like the writer of the movie was on stage. And then she was just like, yeah, I made this movie just to represent feminism in England because all you hear is about feminism in the United States. And I should have, because like she had a point. That's where it got me there. I was like, yeah, because I don't know any of the big ones from like Europe or anything, or like from England, like, but.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think one of the things that we can say about this movie is that it sort of globally diversifies the feminist movement. In the United States, we're really inclined to think very narrowly in terms of U.S. feminism, and there's stuff going on in other places that we should know about. I think it's also really good in how it portrays how much work and how much bodily work, how much bodily suffering went into accomplishing the vote for women. Like you don't hear a lot of stuff about the hunger strikes. You don't hear a lot of stuff about the violence, like the bombings and the threats and this time in prison. Yeah, exactly. It was just a much more live, a much more combative fight for the vote than we are usually inclined to believing. And I think that does a real service on that front. It's worth saying that up front.
Yeah. But the negatives were pointed to me when I got back to the school, when I was talking to our good friend Dr. Nethery, because he's also seen this movie, and he pointed out that it was just like, yeah, Derek, it was really great for white feminism. And
whitewashed to the max.
Yeah, and it was just like, he's like, there were other people who helped in the England one that weren't just white. And it's just like the movie kind of glosses over all of them to the point where they don't even exist within the counterpoints in the movie.
Exactly. And I think that the way the movie functions too is just to sort of say, look at how much these poor women suffered to get us the right to vote. And that's the basic message, which still allows us to sort of leave the whole movement in the past. It makes it almost impossible for us to understand how we might have anything to learn. It's just this sort of simple hero narrative. The victory is won. Done. We can move on. They had to die. Sucks that they had to die to get it done, but they did, and now it's done.
And it's like the ending of the movie. They do this like really long, like strolling narrative, like over like Star Wars style, where it's like, yeah, women got the vote, and all was good.
Yeah, exactly. It's a happily ever ending story, happily ever after story.
As we've seen now, it's not really the case.
We still got to fight for voting rights, and we got to fight for voting rights for folks who just weren't even on the radar screen for the people portrayed in the movie.
So moving on from that movie that came out last year, we're going to go a few years back and talk about the Wicker Man.
Which I haven't seen, so this one's on you guys.
Fair, I haven't seen Suffragette. But the Wicker Man was a remake that didn't need to be remade in the style that it was. It was the worst. So originally the story was basically a commentary on paganism in modern society, and if you've seen The Wicker Man, it takes place on like this island of just mainly women, of really a matriarchy. They call each other sister this, sister that. There are men on the island, but they're rarely shown. They never talk. It's made a point that they don't talk, and it's said that they're used for like breeding, which is just uncomfortable in itself.
Already, wow.
And it's just like,
in the
it's
weeds.
very clear that this movie was written by a man, and its portrayal of a very feminist society, and that's not feminist at all. It's said explicitly in the movie that the reason they came to this island in the first place was to get away from oppression and to have sort of an equal society where women aren't like subjugated. Is that the word? I don't know.
Yeah.
By men,
English.
but it ends up like turning very much into the opposite. You can very much see that it's basically kind of like part of the horror in the Wicker Man isn't so much the ritualistic sacrifices and stuff like that. It's kind of the barbarianism of a matriarchy run by women. And it didn't need to be written that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a whole history of stories about matriarchies written by men that are mostly about how terrified men are of potential matriarchies.
And
that's what it sounds like this might be.
It just doesn't make sense, I guess, to me, because who says that a society run by women would run along the same paths? I feel like it says something that you see that in a matriarchy because it's kind of reflected in our society, that inequality. And it's like you see that, and we can tell that you do because when you write something run by women, you're afraid to be oppressed in the same way that women have been oppressed in the past, and that's your biggest fear, that there's going to be some sort of comeuppance for all the like poop.
Well put, Asia. Very well put.
Good job.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so
And like, it's just this thing that you see over and over again with like matriarchal societies written by men. Instead of focusing on, like, you could have the exact same narrative and you could have it, instead of a commentary on like a cautionary tale of letting women rule, you could have it about the reflection of like the patriarchy and the toxicness that's suddenly apparent that when you have it in a women's and have it like kind of put the mirror up to society now using like the unfamiliarity of women rule, but instead it's always used as kind of like and that's why we can't let them get anywhere.
Exactly.
that reminds me a lot of professional wrestling.
No, it doesn't. Good transition.
Everything reminds you of professional wrestling.
Okay, so but like recently, as in like last year, professional wrestling has tried to do WWE. Let's call out the target, like where it's at. Like WWE, the American one, it's treated women really like crappily.
Poorly.
Thank you. Poorly for like the last 20 years. Examples being bra and panties match, vanilla pudding matches, chocolate pudding matches.
Wow.
Where it's just they literally said it's just meant to sell it to guys. Like that's all. They weren't athletes, they were just models. And now, as in like 2 years ago, they started hiring like actual female wrestlers. And then they started patting themselves on the backs like, we did this, guys.
Good job.
Women's revolution in wrestling, we did this. But the problem is, they are like, I don't know if there's a word for like depending, like it's like you get so caught up in the fact that you're patting yourself on the back for doing something good, but that you're still kind of like relapsing back in your old ways.
Self-congratulatory masturbation?
Yeah, I guess that could work.
I feel like that's almost redundant.
Yeah.
That's the point. You get so caught up in it that you don't even realize how redundant it is.
Okay, so it's just like, wow, that was a term. Okay, so it's just like, can we use that?
I
Wait,
didn't realize exactly
That's all right.
who
That's
my
all right. Let's back it up. So,
included in
is there a
that.
word for how did you put
sorry.
it?
Is there?
Self-congratulatory back patting.
Well, is there a word for just like?
All right, let's just cut back. Let's cut back to that point.
Okay,
Congratulatory blindness.
so
Yeah, no, I don't know if there's a word for it, but I do think this is a common thing that happens, right? That that folks who take any step towards enlightenment,
Yeah.
like realize their complicity in a problematic system at any level and do anything to flip the script, anything to move out of the familiar patterns, all of a sudden feel like they've accomplished something and deserve some kind of praise that they're going to give themselves if nobody else is going to give them for having done anything. And they don't realize the way, and this is the problem with all of these examples,
Yeah.
right? That it's not that they're not doing nothing, they're doing something, but what they're doing is still so deeply problematic, and they're caught in a cycle where they're not able to critique what they're doing anymore.
Yeah.
It's like they look in the right direction. They're like, yeah, it's over there. And then they're like, yeah, we got there,
We got
guys.
this.
And they
We
haven't
did
even
it.
taken a step. They're just like, yeah, it's over there.
Literally, like last week, there was this girl that came out and she's just like, oh man, the women's revolution, we did this in wrestling. And then like immediately after she gave that super empowering speech, she's like, now get that little pig back here, let me talk to her. And it's just like, oh God.
Yeah.
So it's just this constant like ebb and flow of like, it's like they take 2 steps forward and then immediately take a step back. Like it's like they don't even wait.
They don't realize.
Yeah. So.
And that goes to show that this is a constant process of vigilance and self-examination. For every step that you take, you have to ask yourself: is this enough? Are we actually getting done what we're trying to get done here, or are there still ways in which we're replicating these vicious patterns, replicating these oppressive cycles, even when we've eliminated some small parts of those cycles, even when we've moved beyond that in some small way?
Okay, that's a great place to end this video.
It's a nice close.
Do you guys, if you guys have any like, what's the word?
Examples
In media that you guys would like to use, like have us talk about, because we don't mind talking about this all the time.
Yeah.
Rant in our comment section. We'll rant with you. It's a thing that we do.
Yeah, ranting. So.
Ranting
peace.
is fun.